On November 7, 2019, inside the Saitama Super Arena in Japan, more than 20,000 fans witnessed something unforgettable. A fight that would go down as one of the greatest battles in modern boxing history. It was the World Boxing Super Series Bantamweight Final, featuring two men from different generations. The young, undefeated Japanese sensation Naoya the Monster Inoue and the legendary Filipino Flash, Nonito Donaire. This wasn't just a fight for belts or trophies. It was a fight for legacy, pride, and respect. Naoya Inoue came into the ring as the most feared man in the lower weight classes. At only 26 years old, he had already destroyed champions like Jamie McDonnell, Juan Carlos Payano, and Emmanuel Rodriguez, all in brutal fashion. His nickname, the Monster, wasn't just hype. He had finished almost every opponent with cold precision and knockout power that seemed unreal for his size. Across the ring stood Nonito Donaire, a man who had already carved his name into boxing history. He was a four-division world champion, a veteran of countless wars, and a future Hall of Famer. But by 2019, many believed his best years were behind him. Some even called him too old to stand a chance against a young killer like Inoue. But Donaire had something that age couldn't take away: experience, timing, and heart. As the fighters stood in the ring, the atmosphere was electric. The Japanese crowd, usually calm and quiet, couldn't hide their anticipation. The opening bell rang, and history began to unfold. In the first round, both men started cautiously, feeling each other out. Inoue used his fast jab to establish range, while Donaire patiently waited for openings. You could see the mutual respect. Neither man wanted to make the first big mistake. Inoue landed a few quick combinations, testing Donaire's reactions. Donaire countered with sharp right hands, showing he wasn't there just to survive. Then came the second round, the moment that changed everything. Donaire landed a perfectly timed right hand that smashed into Inoue's face. The punch broke Inoue's nose instantly and caused a deep cut over his right eye. Blood started to pour, and for the first time in his career, the Monster looked vulnerable. But Inoue didn't panic. He stayed calm, adjusted his defense, and continued to move forward. The pain was obvious, but he refused to show weakness. His corner later said that during those rounds, Inoue could barely see from his right eye, yet he kept fighting like nothing happened. By the middle rounds, the fight turned into a war. Every punch echoed through the arena. Inoue's body shots were thunderous, targeting Donaire's ribs and liver. Donaire, with his legendary left hook, kept firing back with dangerous counters. The crowd could feel the intensity. It wasn't just skill on display, it was pure willpower. In the fifth and sixth rounds, Inoue began to regain control. He adjusted his rhythm, moving side to side, landing his jab followed by crushing right hands to the head and body. Donaire absorbed the punishment, but refused to back down. Every time Inoue landed a clean shot, Donaire came back with one of his own. In the seventh round, Donaire landed another right hand that wobbled Inoue. The crowd gasped. The young champion was hurt again, but instead of retreating, he stepped forward and fired back with even harder punches. It was pure fire, a test of who wanted it more. By the ninth round, both fighters were exhausted, but still giving everything. Their faces told the story. Blood, bruises, and swelling, but neither willing to give up. Inoue kept working the body, while Donaire looked for one perfect counterpunch to end it. Then, in the 10th round, came the moment that defined the fight. Inoue threw a lightning-fast left hook to the body, a punch so devastating that Donaire immediately turned away in pain. His legs bent, and it looked like he might go down. The crowd erupted. Somehow, Donaire stayed on his feet, gasping for air, trying to survive. The monster had landed his most dangerous weapon, and yet the Filipino legend refused to fall. For nearly 30 seconds, Donaire ran on pure heart. You could see the pain written all over his face, but he refused to let the referee count him out. When the round ended, the crowd stood on their feet, clapping for both men. In the championship rounds 11 and 12, both fighters showed the definition of greatness. Inoue continued pressing forward, landing sharp combinations even though his eye was swollen shut. Donaire countered with everything he had left, swinging until the final bell. The fight had gone beyond skill. It became a battle of spirit. When the final bell rang, both men embraced in the center of the ring. There was no trash talk, no arrogance, just mutual respect between two warriors who had given everything. The judges' scorecards read 116 to 111, 117 to 109, and 114 to 113. A unanimous decision victory for Naoya Inoue. But in truth, both men were winners that night. Inoue kept his undefeated record and unified the bantamweight division, while Donaire earned the respect of an entire new generation of fans. After the fight, Inoue was taken to the hospital. Doctors confirmed he had suffered a broken orbital bone and a fractured nose, injuries that would have stopped most fighters. But he had finished all 12 rounds against one of the toughest men in the sport. The world reacted instantly. Fans and analysts called it the fight of the year. Boxing legends like Manny Pacquiao, Mike Tyson, and Sugar Ray Leonard praised Inoue's toughness and Donaire's heart. ESPN and The Ring magazine both awarded Inoue the Fighter of the Year title for 2019. Inoue himself later said that Donaire had taught him the meaning of true toughness. He admitted that before this fight, he had never been pushed that hard in his life. It changed the way he viewed boxing. From that night forward, Naoya Inoue wasn't just the monster, he was a complete fighter, forged through pain and pressure. 3 years later, in 2022, they met again for a rematch. But this time, the story was different. Inoue had learned, improved, and evolved. The rematch was pure dominance. Inoue dropped Donaire twice and stopped him in the second round, becoming the undisputed bantamweight champion of the world. It was poetic, a final act of respect to the man who had once tested him like no other. Naoya Inoue's war with Nonito Donaire remains one of boxing's most emotional and brutal fights. It wasn't about fame or fortune. It was about legacy, courage, and the warrior's spirit. Inoue's victory proved that greatness isn't just measured by knockouts, but by the ability to fight through pain, fear, and adversity. From that night in Saitama, Inoue's reputation skyrocketed beyond Japan. Fans from every part of the world began calling him one of the best pound-for-pound fighters alive. His balance of technique, timing, and raw power made him a modern-day legend. Even today, when fans talk about the best fights of the 21st century, Naoya Inoue versus Nonito Donaire is always mentioned. It was a masterpiece, a brutal, beautiful display of boxing at its purest form. Because on that night, two men didn't just fight for titles. They fought to show the world what true greatness looks like. And in the end, the monster roared louder than ever.